Hello everyone and welcome back. So today's mani tutorial is on this lovely 3D jellyfish mani. I told you guys that I was contemplating doing that for this video and I decided to go ahead and give it a shot. So we have glow-in-the-dark 3D jellyfish that we are going to make with this mold, which I will get the link below in the description for you guys. And Maniology stamping plate M486 for the background details you see here, the jellyfish tentacles. So I am going to try to do a better job today on making sure you guys can see the details better. I had a person that was having trouble with the details of what I was doing in the video, so I'm going to try to get the camera distance and zoom in more appropriately this time around. I'm still working on getting the kinks out of my recording because my stand does not stay hooked up all the time. It's not convenient for me to do so. It blocks off a drawer and it's only for when I'm recording, so I have to pull it out of storage and set it up every time I record. And so the distance in which I am from the camera changes every single time, so I'm trying to find a way to make it more consistent for you guys. I'm still working out the kinks. I know I've been at this for close to 2 years, but I'm still working out the kinks, so I'm sorry guys. So thank you to the viewer who had mentioned that they were having difficulties with that, because I'm sure that they were probably not the only person, but was the only one who spoke up. So thank you for letting me know. I am going to continue to try to do better with that for you guys, so that way you can see better, because this is not just for entertainment, it's also for educational purposes. And if you can't see it, then, well, how are you supposed to learn? So I appreciate the input. Thank you. That is a big deal to me. And like I said, I am trying to work out the kinks. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to work them out. I'm getting there. There is a stand I would like to get eventually that would be basically a permanent setup. I wouldn't have to take it in and out of storage, but I just don't have the ability to do so currently. It's just too expensive. So like I said, bear with me guys. I am trying to find a way to make that happen for you guys. Ooh, some stuff on my mold here that I missed when I was cleaning it. So now that we have got that announcement out of the way, we will go ahead and get into the products and the tutorial, and I have my tips prepared. Okay, I have the base color already on. So the polishes that I used, one of which could be excluded if you want to, same with some of the other tools. It's, if you don't have them, they're not necessary, they just make your life easier. If you do have them, then great, this will make this process easier for you, but they're not necessary. So getting into that, the one that's not necessary, but I use just because I have a lot of, is my gelish top off. I use that inside of the jellyfish. You can use whatever gel top coat you want, or even the base coat if you have an excess of base coat. You could also use polygel. You can use, let me find it, clear hard gel that's like a putty, like this stuff right here. You can do that. You can do regular hard gel that's in liquid. The solid hard gel, like what I just showed you, any of those will work. That's just what I personally use, just due to an excess of that product. So don't feel like you have to use this specific one. It's not necessary. You can even use the top coat that you use to actually top coat the entire set, which what I used was Beetles, but once again, whatever your favorite no wipe top coat is, that's great. Use that. It's not going to matter too much. Unless you do have to watch out for product interactions. So I would try it on a plastic tip first, but just, that's what I used for the Beetles part, the base color, so I used the same top coat to go with it. I try to keep within the same brand to prevent bad interactions between the products. So that's just to keep in mind. So I used the Beetles No Wipe Top Coat. I used Varnail's Glow in the Dark White, and this stuff glows blue, okay? Just like the little strip, it glows blue. So I used this with the mold, and I used this lovely jelly blue from Born Pretty. I'll also have the link for this below. And Cynthia, if you're watching, yes, I still use your stuff that you've sent. So, and I'm using this lovely dark jelly-like blue from Beetles, okay? I don't know if I'll be able to get the link for this. I bought this in a collection a few years back. It should still be available, but I would just say pick, if you can't find this, and if I can't find it, to link it in there, just a gel blue similar to this would work just fine. You could even go as far as to go with black. I feel like black would work very well with this as well, not just the blue. In fact, it probably would show up better. I just like the jelly blue. That would also work really well as a good substitute. So the stamping polish that I used was Euphoria B519. And that's a relatively new one, so I know that one is still available for purchase unless they're sold out, but would restock. It's not a discontinued, just so you know. And I used this red, purple, blue iridescent powder from the craft section of Dollar Tree. So this is very easy to get, or something like this. Amazon sells so many like this all over for really, really cheap. So if you can't find it at your Dollar Tree, look on Amazon. You could probably get a whole bundle of powders, including ones like this, for like $5, $10. It's not that bad. Just as a heads up. So if you are somebody who does not like gel, I will explain a process that you can do at the end of the video to do this with regular nail polish. But please keep in mind that it will take significantly longer. Just keep that in mind. So you will need all of your basic stamping products, your acetone, your sticky stamping station / lint roller, Scotch tape, whatever you use to clean your stamper, your whatever you use for cleaning your plates, whether it be cotton pad, cotton ball, lint-free wipe, paper towel, scraper card, stamper. You're also going to need a detail brush. That one's non-negotiable kind of thing. The mold, when you're filling it, you're gonna need a detail brush. And I would recommend having a silicone applicator. This one's also not necessarily needed, but will make your life a lot easier, okay? This I'm going to use to apply the powder to the mold. And you will need some form of tweezers to help you with the removal and placement of your homemade charms. So, we will first start by going in with the stamping. Now that we have covered all of that, we are going to use this lovely image right here in the upper left-hand corner. And scrape. Sorry guys. Pick up. Now I'm going to take this to the bottom of the nail and then stamp. And you're going to need to pick up the image a second, possibly even a third time to fill in around if you are doing the full length that I am doing. This is also from Beetles. The tips themselves are from Beetles. I got them in a dupe Gel X kit several years ago. Let's just say that. I'm gonna have to say 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark. Okay, so now what you're going to do after you pick it up the second time for this nail, you're going to strip off the bottom of it, okay, like so. And you're going to line it up to the top corner like so, and roughly bring it across. Okay, so now you're going to have that small gap. That's where you're going to need the third time. Okay. And then you're going to do that again. You're going to remove all of the bottom jellyfish. And you're also going to remove part of the top jellyfish. Really what you're wanting to do is just isolate one to fill in that gap. Okay? That's all you're wanting. You just want to isolate it to fill it in the gap so it doesn't have that funny spot. Okay, so now we're going to grab our index, now that we're no longer on our thumb, and we're going to take, or apparently I'm going to drop it on the floor. We're going to take the image directly below that jellyfish image. So this one right here. Okay. Well, there's my stand. Let's clean up some of this debris that ended up on there because I have kids and cats, and well, my floors are always a mess. No matter how hard I try to keep them clean, no matter how many times I run the mechanical vacuum, sweep and vacuum myself, I can't keep it clean. I could do it probably 20 times a day and my floors would still be filthy. Granted, they're not horrible, but there's always some kind of debris on them in some form or fashion. So, okay, we're going to take and we're going to line this up. Set this in. All right, we're going to line this up with the top of the nail and go down like so. And there we have our jellyfish tentacles. We're going to do this again on the middle finger and the pinky. Sorry, I'm working in a really tight, small space here, guys. Pat it down. And one last time on the pinky, and then we'll go back in on the ring, and we're going to use the same image we used on the thumb. And voila, we'll have our stamping done. Okay. So it took me a while to decide what I wanted to do, and I was humming and hawing between bubbles behind the jellyfish and doing 3D jellyfish in some capacity on all the nails and all sorts of things. I had quite the dilemma. I just picked up the wrong stamp. I had quite the dilemma. So this is a ring finger, and we want the jellyfish right there. We're going to do the same thing we did to the thumb. We're going to go at the bottom first and go up because we want that dot to be roughly in the center of the nail, and that is the easiest way to do so. And then we're going to go in again on that same image. And pick it up. We're going to take the top half off. And we're going to bring the jellyfish around the top portion of the nail. And now we have done all the stamping. This is what it looks like. Now we're going to go in with our mold. I also forgot to mention I used rhinestone glue from Beetles as well. Oh, come on, give me my bottle. Here we go. Alright, so I finished cleaning this plate and putting it away, and then we will get into the nitty-gritty of this, the bulk of it, because the stamping part's the easiest part. And the most simplistic part of the entire thing. So, I was talking with a friend about selling the jellyfish charms. And I currently do not have a clue if that is something I'm going to do. But if I do start up selling charms and stuff, I will link that as well. But and start up an Etsy or something to that effect, or some kind of site to sell it on. But I'm not currently at a place where I feel like I can do that yet. However, if that is something that you guys would be interested in, go ahead and let me know, because that might change my timeline on when I decide to do so. On trying to do that, because, you know, this isn't something that is super easy for everybody to do. This is a slightly more complex thing, and not everybody has the time or steady hand to do what I'm doing. So it does take a bit of a steady hand, and I do hope that you know, none of my viewers have those kind of struggles, but I know that it's out there. It exists. So I know some people just prefer to buy it versus making it, and that's okay. But when I thought about that, because I'm one of those people that quite often generally just buys them over making them, at least in my earlier years, that was even more so true than it is now. But there are times where I just don't feel like making my own charms. So I know I'm not the only one out there like that. So, all right. So how we're going to do this is we're going to take our silicone mold, and I think to make this easier to see, I'm going to remove the paper towel and see if it's easier to see on, I don't really think so. It's something kind of dark, I feel like. Okay. There, that seems a little easier. Where did I set that? Okay. There it is. Alright. So, I got my iridescent powder. I've got a paper towel to wipe my detail brush off on after cleaning with acetone. Or isopropyl alcohol would work too, but acetone tends to just work faster when it comes to eating gel off of brush bristles. Even if it's not cured yet, it just works the best. So, got my detail brush ready. I have gels lined up. And we are going to go ahead and get into this. So this mold right here, we're going to use this jellyfish right here and this jellyfish right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply our iridescent powders to the inside of the mold, and we're going to get into all those nitty gritty little spots, okay? And we're just kind of burnishing this into the mold, right? This is silicone, just like the tool that I'm using, and it's just going to stick to it. Nice and easy, okay? And we want to burnish it into all the nooks and crannies. This is what's going to give the iridescent look that you see on the jellyfish. That nice little iridescence that gives it the other colors and stuff. That's what gives it that, okay? So this powder is what gives it that. And it doesn't have to be the same exact one, like I said. As long as it's an iridescent powder, you're good. It can be any color you want. It gives it that lovely mystical shimmer without ruining the color of the jellyfish. And then we're going to fill it in on this one. Now, these powders came in a 4-pack and they were $5. So you're not paying much different than Amazon prices, or maybe it was $3, not 5, but it was higher than the $1.25. I can tell you that much. But it was still a good deal. And like I said, you're gonna just burnish that in there real good. Into all those nooks and crannies. I want to make sure that everything is thoroughly burnished with the powder. This is going to be the part that takes the longest because the jellyfish has so many nooks and crannies in there. Alright, once you've done and applied all of the powder to the jellyfish, like so, you can see the shimmering, and I see it better on camera than I do in person. That's funny. Normally it's the other way around. Okay, so now we're going to need our detail brush. This is where things are going to get a little bit more interesting because it's going to take a steady hand and rather good eyesight. So if you have bad eyesight, you might want a magnifying glass. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to open up the glow-in-the-dark white from Varnell and the jelly blue from Born Pretty. So on this one, we're going to do a very different step than this one. So I'm going to start with this one. This one, we're going to go straight in with the blue, okay? We're not even going to add the white yet. We're going to go straight in with the jelly blue. And we're going to fill a thin layer across the entire thing. Okay, I'm going to start by dumping it in the well of it. And then I'm going to move it upwards within the mold to the bulbous part of the jellyfish. Okay, and then I'm going to take the excess and I'm going to start moving it down the very intricate little lines here and filling in every little intricate line with the blue. And it's a very thin layer because we're going to need to go over it again with the glow in the dark white. Now you can use a regular white. You don't have to do the glow in the dark. It doesn't have to be Varnail. You can just use a Beetles white or, you know, a Born Pretty white, whatever gel white you've got. It ain't gonna matter too much. Unless of course it reacts badly to the other polish, but like I said, that's something you can test ahead of time in small portion on a tip, and it shouldn't be an issue. Always test it on a tip first, especially if you're planning on using it on your natural nails and not a form of extension. Just for safety's sake. And trust me, you will know if it does not play nicely. You will have curing issues and many other issues. You will know if the brands are not playing nicely together. However, the brands that I have currently, because I stopped using a lot of the ones that didn't play nicely with the bulk of what I used, tend to play nicely together. So I'm not too worried about that at this moment on my own stuff. But it's always important to test before trying it directly on yourself when playing with these kind of products. Alright, let's get those in the bulbous parts there. There is one all the way down there. It's kind of hard to see, but there is. And there we go. So that is the first step on that jellyfish, as you can see. And I'm going to redistribute this because that has sunk down in. And we don't want that. Okay. So now you're going to need to cure it for 60 seconds. Now I'm going to use this lovely little lamp right here. However, it's not necessary, guys. You can use your regular gel lamp for it, not an issue. But it helps. It speeds the process up and not having to worry about trying to yank it in and out of the lamp, pressing a button to make sure that it's triggered and it's curing. This, press it, set it on top, go, paint in more, press, set on top, go. It takes so much less time. It's a lot faster, it's a lot easier. So I'm not too worried about my time process, but it's not necessary. You know, I have to demonstrate the stuff, so I try to make it faster so that way you guys aren't sitting for an extraordinarily long video. Hence the reason I won't physically show you, but I will explain how to do this mani in regular polish and not in gel if you have an allergy or some other issue. Because if I was to try to show you how to make the jellyfish out of regular nail lacquer in these molds, I would have to have editing software and time lapse because it takes a significant amount of time for it to cure. And it would take a very long time to create. So please keep that in mind. That if that is one of the things that you want to request, that I do not currently have the means to film that because it would take more than my raw footage to do it because of the amount of time it would take, and it would need editing. Okay. this baby on the charger. I did not know. I am sorry that you were almost dead. My little lamp. Okay, so for this next part, we're going to use the Varnell White, and we're also going to use it on the little jellyfish. But we're going to start by working on this one. So we're going to go in, zoom it in, and we're going to paint it over its tentacles. Very thinly. We don't want it to be too thick. If you put it in too thick, it won't cure properly. So, it is important to distribute it thinly. Now for the fun part. We're going to take, and we're going to go around the edge. Of the bulbous dome of the jellyfish. We're going to go on the inside of the mold. Oh, this is the hard part. The part that takes a really steady hand. We're going to go on the inside of the mold. And we're going to draw a line going up in multiple locations up the bulbous part of the jellyfish. And then we're going to take and we're going to make that line at the top a little bit deeper here once we've finished the lines on the inside of the mold. Dang it, I'm out of camera again. Sorry, guys. Now we're going to go like this, around the edge of the top of the mold. Okay. And then we're going to cure. After we're done distributing around the bottom, a little bit here too. Now we're going to cure it. I need to grab my other little mini lamp because this one now needs to be charged, and I did not realize it. But that's okay. We will just go ahead and go like that, and we will charge it and use the other mini lamp. My mini lamp from a cart versus my mini lamp from Beetles. It'll be okay. I like my Beetles one more, but it needs to be charged. I like this one for putting on Gel-X. That is my preference. Always cure for 60 seconds in a LED light. If you're using a UV versus an UV LED, then use 2 minutes, okay? Okay, so now we're gonna go back in with the white on the other jellyfish now, okay? So, on this one, we're going to start with the tentacles. And we're going to fill in the tentacles. With the white. Make sure you're getting all of them and all of those nooks and crannies. It's a bit of a process to fill in all of these little lines. Fill in all of those spots. Now you're going to take your white and the brush. Once you've done filling in all of the tentacles, you're going to go down in the inside of the bulbous part of there. You're going to fill that in with a thin layer of the glow-in-the-dark white. And then you're going to go up with the lines inside of the jellyfish's head. Bulbous part. This is what it's going to look like. Then you're going to cure it for 60 seconds. Oops, sorry guys, I had to raise my chair up so I could see better. And I just accidentally smacked my knee on my desk. I apologize. I did not mean to do that, guys. Guess I never cleaned that off my desk. And I kept forgetting. There. No longer have spots of polish. Okay. All right. Now we have that part complete. So now we're going to go in with the last step before just adding clear. Last couple of steps, I should say, because there's another step involved, but let's go ahead and go in with this one first. Okay, so now we're going to go in with our blue on the head of the jellyfish, filling in all of the gaps, like so. No little unmet details. And then we're going to cure it for 60 seconds. Then we're going to do another step. So let's go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. Okay, yes, I know, battery. You're getting low. Tell me something I don't know. You really need to get that set up that would allow me to plug this in while filming. So I apologize, I have to put my umbilical cord on, essentially. Okay. There we go. So, sorry about that, guys. Let's get our adjustments made here. Okay, so we no longer need the blue. We are done with that stage. But now we're going to need to clean off some excess. So, before we add our clear, we're going to go in and we're going to clean up the excess stuff in there, okay, with our tape. Get the excess powder and any excess jelly pieces that weren't supposed to be there. jelly piece. Part of them that went over the mold. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to fold that piece in because it'll break it if I don't. And then it'll get cured inside of the charm. So this is what it looks like so far. Okay. And let's see if we can zoom this in a little better. So it looks like so far. And now we're going to go in with our clear. And that's just to make it solid, not hollow, especially for this one right here. And this is where we're going to fill in the entirety of the rest of the jellyfish. And then cure. And in this step, I'm just going to put it in the big lamp. I'm not concerned about using the little one because we're no longer working on lots of tiny details. This is the final step. So, all right, now we can do it over top of paper towels because, well, it's no longer clear. All right, so now we're going to take this gel and we're going to fill in any part that still has gaps on the tentacles. They're not 100% solid yet. Good to know it's 2:15. And down. Let's also hold the jellyfish together a little nicer. And we're going to pop that in for 60 seconds, though for this part 30 should be enough. I like to do 60 just to be safe. And now we will get into the application process. And afterwards I will explain how you do regular nail polish for the mold. So, while I'm waiting on that to cure, I grabbed the thumbnail, I grabbed my bling gel, and I'm going to take and place a line of bling gel up the nail in the center area of the nail. The tube of this stuff. This stuff is great. Okay, so now I'm going to remove my jellyfish. There we go. I'm going to carefully remove them because I do not want to injure my mold. I'd like to be able to use it again. Come on, baby. Come on out. I'm going to carefully remove the jellyfish. And there we have it. Now we have our jellyfish. I'm going to place it on the gel. And I'm going to wiggle it around a little bit so that way I can spread the gel all over the jellyfish and make it so where it's thinner and will stick down nicely. So I'm going to turn it slightly sideways. I was turning it the wrong direction sideways. That was my problem. Slightly sideways. And now I'm going to take my detail brush and I'm going to move some of the gel that was up there down here to make this stick better. It's okay if you don't add enough the first time around. You can go in and add a little bit manually by hand to seal it in, which is what I'm about to do. And you're going to want to apply up underneath and around. Try not to get on your bare hands, that's all I'm going to say on that. I just did that. It's not good. Though hilariously enough, when I was doing the whole design and creating it, I never got a single lick of gel on me. I start recording, it still only happens. I guess I just need to start wearing gloves when I'm recording. Okay. Make sure it's firmly pressed in. Pop her in the lamp. Okay. I'm gonna grab the ring finger and we're going to go ahead and pull out the jellyfish. And we're also going to apply our bling gel to the center of the nail, going upwards. Alright, so now we're going to carefully extract our jellyfish. I'm going to remove any excess parts that we don't like that went over the edge. Okay. All right. Now we have our jellyfish. As you can see, our cute little jelly. And we're going to apply I'm going to do the same thing we did with the other one. We're going to do our best to get this to lay nicely down within the bling gel, which sometimes it can be finicky to do its shape. I'm going to go in manually. Come on. All right. the affected areas. So now I'm going to go in and gently press her down, like so. And we're going to feel. Now we're going to go in with our Beetle's top coat. And we're going to top coat our nail and our jellyfish. You're going to need your detail brush when it comes to top coating around the jellyfish and top coating the jellyfish itself. But around it, you're good to go with just your brush applying, but you're going to need to go and distribute everything more evenly inside the charm itself. So we're going to need to take some of the gel and redistribute in problem spaces, like in between tentacles. And if you guys like the jellyfish one, then I definitely would like to hear comments about whether or not you like the jellyfish charms, because I do want to do one involving mushrooms. And I'm still kind of humming and hawing how I want to do it. I do have a mold for it. And I just don't know how you guys would feel about it, just simply because the mushroom mania I've done in the past wasn't really super popular. Didn't seem like something that you guys really wanted to see. So if this is something that you guys would like to see, please let me know. Even if it's just one person, it would still make it worth my while to do so, if I know that there's somebody that would like to see that. So there's the top coat on that jellyfish. And let's go ahead and top coat our other jellyfish now that that is done. And let's start by putting it on top of the jellyfish's head. And working my way around. And then pouring some inside of the tentacles to distribute. Yay, cat hair. So, I'm going to go in and I'm going to redistribute the gel. Yes, Kyle, Daddy's home. Yes. And then we're going to distribute that like so. Make sure everything is all nice and smooth and no weird bumps. If you have little bubbles within it, that's not a bad thing. It just adds character. That is a personal preference. I like the little bubbles inside of there. I think it just adds to the look, but it's not necessary. Alright, so now that we've applied our gel, and I'm looking at camera and there's a little bit too much on that end, distorting the shape. So we're going to go back to fix where the shape's being distorted, and remove it and apply to the stand for curing. And now we're going to apply top coat to the other 3 and cure. Yes, Daddy's home. All right, now that we have applied our top coat to all of the nails, we can go ahead and cure. And move on to the next step. And then cleaning the mold's pretty simple. You can use tape to get the bulk of it off, and then any excess you can't get off with tape, just flush it out with some isopropyl alcohol, and it's good to go. So not too big of a deal for cleaning. It's pretty simple to clean. Okay, let's pull this up on the lamp. All right, okay, so that is how I did this mani. Now I am going to explain the process involved with creating these charms with regular nail lacquer, and then of course you would substitute the base color with a regular nail lacquer. So you're gonna want a basic white polish or a glow-in-the-dark white, like what I have here. You're gonna want a jelly polish, a similar color to this. You're gonna want either clear acrylic, with the 2-part system, which is monomer, a liquid, and a powder. And of course an acrylic brush. I use IBD. That is the brand that I use. And I use their monomer. And you can either use that or clear nail lacquer, not regular top coat. That would probably be worse. Quick dry top coat might work relatively well, but you want primarily a clear lacquer. You would take all of these steps that I just did for the jellyfish on painting in the white and painting in all the other things, but the problem is you have to wait for it to dry in between every single step. Okay, so if you're doing this one, you're starting with the white, you paint in the white, you let it dry. And you're gonna have to do it in layers because it shrinks as it dries, and you're gonna have to do it thinly, okay? And then you need to go in with the next step and do it in layers and until it dries. The polishes that I would recommend for that currently, is actually Maniology polish is hilarious enough. This is the jelly regular polish I would recommend, and it is Blueberry Blast. And if they do, I would recommend either using Bam White or whatever your favorite, like bright white, but not super bright, to do the white part, or a glow-in-the-dark white polish that's not gel, if you have one, which I don't. I'm sure they exist, I just don't know of any personally. This is probably the white I would recommend, which is White Lies for non-glow-in-the-dark from Sinful Colors. And of course, you would put the iridescent powder in first. Like I said, it's all the same steps for the design. It just takes astronomically longer. Somebody in the Maniology Facebook group had actually went through, because she's allergic to gel, and went through every step to make her own charms with regular nail lacquers, and confirmed that it can be done, but that it can take up to 24 hours or longer for it to cure completely and be viable, and go back in and do these steps over and over and again, because it takes layers and layers and layers. It took her a very long time to accomplish making a simple charm out of nail lacquer. So this is why I don't typically recommend doing anything other than gel or acrylic for making charms. I'm not saying you can't, but I am saying that you probably have less pain involved in the process if you are using those versus regular nail lacquer. It will save you a lot of frustration and pain and time. But it can be done if for whatever reason you cannot use gel or don't want to use gel and you want to take that longer route, by all means. But for the sake of this video, I'm not doing that. It takes entirely too long, and I doubt anybody wants to sit there for hours and hours and hours as I'm painting each individual stroke and waiting for it to dry. So please keep this in mind, okay? It can be done, but it takes an extraordinarily amount of time. So that is personal preference. That is why I show in the uses of acrylic or gel. I don't have the time to do it that way. I don't have the time to do it with nail lacquer. So, I don't have anything else to announce. I have no clue on what I'm doing on my next video. It'll possibly be August's Mani Me box, because I know that that's going to be shipping soon, but I think that might not be here until after next Tuesday's video, so I'm not really sure. I think that's the only things I have for you today, and I hope that you all are having a good morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever it may be while you're watching this video. And until next time, guys, thank you all for watching. Bye.